You gotta keep on breathing if you wanna make sense of it all. We will not fall.
All right, let's take our yoni mudra. So our yoni mudra comes in like a little diamond, and we just make that little symbol there. That's it, perfect. And we just rest that down into the area of what we call the lower dantian. The lower dantian, or the sea of energy, the hara, basically where all of creation starts. You know, this is where our reproductive organs are, our sexual organs, and you know, this is our area of creation. This whole band from the sacrum, lower back, hips, around to the lower dantian. So settle in, feel the thumbs, the fingertips connecting, relax into the wrists, relax into the elbows, and let the shoulders drop away from the ears. Sitting nice and tall, and just find some comfort as you sit here. Maybe making those final adjustments and fidgets as you need to. Then start to connect to your rhythm of breath, starting from the base of the spine, right down past the sacrum, up towards the crown. Actually, no, take it to the base of the skull. So we're going base of skull to sacrum on that breath, in and out. So tracing the flow of your breath as it moves up the spine towards the head as you breathe in. And then that lovely sense of release and letting go as you breathe out, and it traces the journey of your spine right back down to the sacrum. And as we continue with our element theme for this month, we obviously move from our earth element to our water element, which are both highly connected, hugely connected to one another. Without water, nothing in the earth would survive, and neither would we. So what are the benefits of water? Water cleanses, water reflects, water is dynamic, it flows, it nourishes, it lubricates, purifies and unifies. And also water is flexible. Water is patient and persistent. And water stays true. And it usually finds the path of least resistance. So that's a path that we would like to find in our lives, but also in our yoga practice. The path of least resistance. But think of those words for a moment. Least resistance. And how might you resist in a yoga practice, particularly yin, when we are really trying to find an edge in a posture? And allow that felt sense, that feeling, that experience to come through in our meditative state. So as we work with our water element, we also look to our meridian lines of the kidney and the bladder. So most of the postures today will work with freeing up the meridian lines and the chi, connecting to those two organs. Continuing with that breath from sacrum to base of skull. A steady flow, easy, comfortable, effortless breath. Release that breathing rhythm, just breathe normally. As you breathe out, release the mudra. Take the hands to the knees, palms are face up. Water is also receptive, so be receptive to your own practice today, whatever you need most, whatever you need to take away with you. Wiggling the fingers, moving into the wrists. Just bring gentle and soft movement back into the body. Circle the shoulders, and they come forward, they go up, they go back, and they go down. And just let go of your day as you come to your mat, lifting the knees together from your seated position. And just allow the belly to start to fold over the thighs. Come into a nice, gentle and soft hug. Let the head release down towards the knees and release through the lower back, particularly the area, and I'm going to turn around to show you, particularly this area of the spine, the lumbar section, the sacrum, where the sacrum meets the pelvis. So as we fold, let me come off my bolster. So as we fold here, we just allow that area of the spine to really relax and stretch. So it's not a forced stretch. We're gently pulling the navel in towards the spine, letting the head and the neck soften and relax towards the knees. And then uncurl. So start to unroll the spine. Come back up to seated. You can keep the legs bent or you can extend them. Hands come back behind you and you just roll the shoulders open. And then you might put the fingertips down onto the mat and you can extend the legs here, opening the chest up towards the sky. So lengthening up from the lower back once more. We've gone from a fold into a nice little soft extension. So just find the steadiness of the flow of the breath from sacrum to base of skull and base of skull to sacrum. Bring the head back into center and then swing the legs around behind you and come into your wide leg child's pose. So knees go wide, big toes come together. Use the blocks, blankets, bolsters as you need to. You might rest over a bolster here, but we're coming into our first posture for a number of minutes. So maybe the hands reach out towards the front of the mat. Maybe they come underneath the head. And again, you can support the head with a block, bolster, or a cushion. So let's start to settle in. And this is where we take the focus into that central band. So the sacrum, the lower back, the hips, the pelvis, and the hip flexors and the glutes. So try and relax all of those larger, deeper muscles and go a little bit more deeper and become aware of your connective tissue, the fascia, the ligaments, the tendons that connect all of those larger muscles to the bones and the joints. Maintaining presence, maintaining stillness in mind and body. Even though we are finding stillness, our breath is still moving, it is still fluid, it is still flowing. And we're consciously aware of those meridians that we're working to clear, of the kidney and the bladder. Taking those moments to think about your edge, where you might be feeling this posture, what your target areas may be. Each exhale, we release a little bit more to the earth. We give in just a little bit more to the posture. And just the last few remaining breaths here as you visualize that sacral region shining up towards the sky, feeling a little bit more spacious and open. Breathing in, a nice releasing breath out. And then preparing yourself to move. Take time to come out of the posture by bringing the hands back closer towards the knees. Gently press yourself up and then just come into a tabletop so that you can release the backs of the knees there, releasing the spine into a neutral spine. So find your tabletop position, hands spread underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Crown of the head gently reaches forward, and you can have the eyes open or closed here, but just again, it's that kind of rebound out of the posture. And then you might like to start to just introduce some gentle pelvic tilts, which is our cat and cow. So the breath in happens on your cow, which is that arching of the spine, and the breath out happens on your cat, rounding of the spine. And all the focus comes down to the base of the spine, the lower back, and the sacrum and hips, and how that's all moving as one unit. And just come back into neutral, and then just move the hips left and right. And you might like to introduce the head and the neck here. So if the hips are going to the left, the head and the neck looks back to the right foot. And then just shifting the hips over to the other side and look back to the left foot. So this just creates a little S-bend shape into the spine. And throughout this practice, we're really looking for pelvic stability and that free flowing of energy, prana, and chi. So nice and slowly come off of the hands. Come back to kneeling, release into the wrists. Give the wrists a little bit of a movement. You can ripple, you can flex, you can rotate. Good. And let's swing the legs around and come into our supported bridge. So if you like, you can use your bolster, but I'm going to go with a block, and I'm going to go with a block on the the lowest level, because these are actually quite thick blocks anyway. That's too high. That's a very high bridge. That's a medium bridge, but I'm going to go low. So placing that block or bolster underneath your sacrum. So the buttocks hang off of the back end and making sure that it's nice and comfortable. No corners of the block are digging in. If you're using a bolster, it's nice and comfy and you can nestle into there. So keep the soles of the feet flat on the floor, knees are bent. So feet in line with knees, knees in line with hips, and just try and relax into that central band, the area where we've focused on. If you like, the arms can come out by the hips, by the side of you at shoulder height, or in cactus. So it depends on where the arms feel most comfortable, but spread the shoulder blades out from one another and lengthen the neck. And here we start to release into the pelvic floor. Soften through the glutes, soften through the buttocks, and relax into the weight of the thighs and the hips into your prop. Remind yourself of that steady flow of continuous breath, which is effortless from the sacrum all the way up to the base of the skull. And then as you breathe out, base of the skull back down to the sacrum. Almost visualize the inhale as clearing, balancing, and the exhale as releasing, reflecting, letting go. And even though we are finding stillness, obviously, in these yin postures and trying to still the mind, our monkey mind, everything internally is still moving. Everything is still functioning. All of our systems are still doing what they need to do. So there is still movement. And even just by holding this posture, you're doing the work. You're putting the work in to allow that chi to flow freely through the meridian lines of the kidneys and the bladder. Also to find freedom and fluidity through the water element. Each breath out from the base of the skull to the sacrum is even more releasing each time. Relaxing, letting go of tension, tightness, gripping, clenching, even contraction and engagement of any muscles. Preparing to come out of the posture. If the arms were back in cactus, we bring those forward and place the palms down by our hips. Maybe bring the feet back just a little bit so that you can press into the palms and the feet to lift up the hips, pushing away from the floor, pushing away from your prop. Slide the prop away from you and then take time to roll down through the shoulders. We're still scooping out the belly, rounding out through the spine, and lowering down each and every vertebra, one after the other. Still lowering. Maybe the middle back's come down by now. Still lowering. Maybe the lower back has come down. And finally, the sacrum lands and spreads out the pelvis, and you can feel that release without any block or bolster underneath you. Take the feet wide, drop the knees in towards one another, and just bring the hands onto the hip flexors. So fingertips point down towards the pubic bone, and relax the glutes. I know that unconsciously they kind of contract. So try and relax the sphincter, relax the pelvic floor and the glutes. Soften into the legs, the ankles and the feet. Opening the arms out to shoulder height if it feels good, or down by the hips. Palms are face up. Keep the feet where they are, wider edges of the mat. Open the knees. So you can release the feet just a little bit. Release the heels, lift the toes, mobilize into the ankles. And drop the knees over, windscreen wipers. So let's just stay here. If you need to use a block or a bolster underneath one of those knees, you can do so underneath the right knee. And if you like, look towards your left palm. So staying in that windscreen wiper, we're just staying and holding, dropping down through the left leg, left hip. Once more, continually relaxing that central band of the body around the hips, the pelvis, and the lower back. Being consciously aware if you're gripping or clenching. Breathe the head back into center. And then breathe the knees back into center. Realign if you need to. Drop the pelvis, spread the spine. And then gently drop those knees over to the left. Again, using a block or a bolster underneath if you need to, underneath that left knee. And lift the head up, looking towards the right hand if it feels good for the neck. So you don't have to, you can keep the head looking up towards the sky. Trying to release out into that right quad, right hip flexor, and also the right glute. So remind yourself to relax, let go of any gripping. Breathe in, bring the head back into center. And then your next breath in, bring the knees back into center. Keep the feet wide, realign hips, spine, and then bring the arms back down to the hips. Let the knees drop in towards one another once more. Find constructive rest. Soften out through the buttocks, through the pelvic floor. Relax the hips, relax the sacrum, the lower back. Heel toe, both feet back into parallel. And bring the heels a little closer towards the buttocks as the hands come down by the hips. And this is slow and subtle, moving with the breath. So pelvic tilts, reclined pelvic tilts. So we're just lifting the tailbone and the pubic bone as you round the spine on your breath out. And pulling the tailbone and the sit bones back underneath you, arching the spine on your breath in. So just as we did in our tabletop, in our cat and cow, we are focusing our attention down into that central band of the hips and the pelvis and lower back. Feeling each and every lower lumbar vertebra coming down and peeling off each time. And then once you've done a few of those, draw the knees in towards the chest. Squeeze the thighs towards the belly, lengthening the tailbone, lengthening the spine down towards the end of your mat. So your spine is nice and flat in a long line from the back of the skull all the way down to the sacrum. And you can interlace the fingers, you might be holding onto the wrists, you may even be grabbing hold of the elbows. I used to be able to do that, but not so much these days. So I'm going to hold onto my wrists, making sure that my spine is comfortable. Or you might just have your fingertips on top of the shins, just hugging those knees in towards you. Again, here we feel the pressure underneath us of our back body connecting towards the earth. So we feel the hips and the pelvis spreading out, widening across the mat, widening the waists, widening the rib cage, and spreading out the shoulder blades. And then from here, we just guide the knees in a circular motion around one way. So we're moving the knees towards the outer edges of our mat, circling back into the center, and that gives us a nice little sacral massage, and then circle the other way. Scan the path of least resistance, which water would travel. And then opening those knees, getting into the hip joints. Again, slow, observant, noticing, listening to the body. And then circle those knees inwards, other rotation. Noticing clicks, crunches. Clunks. I've got a bit of a clunky right hip. And then place the soles of the feet down, lower the knees over to one side, and just lie on your side for a moment. Doesn't matter which side, right or left, whichever you come to. Support the head if you need to with the hand or a block. And just relax into the side here. So drop into that hip. And then give yourself a little press through that hand and come up. Take your time. Swing the legs around behind you into tabletop. And just return back into a few rounds of cat and cow. Just to notice if you've got any further flexibility and mobility within that lower back, hips and spine here. So we're going to move into our baby dragon. So baby dragons, we're going to have our blocks on the highest level and the hands come down and you're going to bring your right foot forward. So here we just stay nice and upright. We don't have to go deep into our dragon down here with our arms on our blocks, forearms on our blocks. So try not to put too much weight into the wrists is what I would say here. So there's a light 90-degree bend into your front knee. So spine is long And you see here, I've got a long spine, but my sit bones are pointing down towards the floor, and the flatness of my pelvis, I can take my hand around and feel the bowl of my pelvis, which is where the sacrum connects into the pelvis from the spine. So feel the heaviness of the hips dropping down with gravity here. If you're on a hard surface, you might want to pad out that back knee. I'm okay here because I'm on carpet. Looks like you're okay. So shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. We're gazing just slightly forward of the front of our mat. Maybe throughout the process, you do start to drop the hips just a little bit more, but keeping the body upright. So we're dropping the hips, but keeping the chest lifted and gaze forward. Almost there with this one. Nice and slowly breathe in and stretch it back, breathe out. Release over that leg extension. Swing the leg back behind you, come off of the wrists here, give them a little release before we go into the other side. So those baby dragons are about a 2 to 3 minute hold, but the first 2 minutes really are being more upright. The last third minute is really starting to drop down into the weight. So when you feel ready to come forward, bringing left leg, and again, fingertips on the blocks, sitting nice and tall in that baby dragon. So you can see I really haven't gone too deep at all here. I'm really supporting through my right shin, my right back of my leg, and my fingertips. But you might come down onto the palms, but try not to put too much weight into the wrist joint. So long spine, navel gently pulls back, shoulders are away from ears, facial expression relaxed. And then eventually, as the time goes on, you start to release the hips just a little bit more towards the floor. And that's not a force, it's a gradual process of gravity. So this posture is very different to our low dragon, I would say. Remind yourself of your breath from the sacrum all the way to the base of the skull. And we are about 70% water, with all the fluids that run and flow around our bodies, the spinal fluid, synovial fluid, fluid, that's protecting our brain in our skull, fluid that's within our organs. And our muscles, ligaments, they all have fluid, water. Even our lower, our discs have fluid, nucleus. Letting those hips drop just a little bit more, coming towards the end of this hold. Doing great. And breathe in, pull the hips back, stretch out that front leg and exhale over. Release. And then swing that leg back behind you, come off of the wrists and just circle out there. Give them a little squeeze, a little shake, whatever feels good there. And then bring the legs around in front of you once more. Shuffle all the way to the front of your mat just a little bit so that you can roll down. Draw the knees in and just give yourself that little massage through the sacrum. One way and the other. This time we grab our block or our bolster. Again, choosing the level of the block. I'm going to go medium once more. So placing that back underneath our sacrum. We're going to go into our pontoon posture here. So it's a very passive back bend. You can stay in your supported bridge if you need to. Arms can be by the side of the body, but spread the shoulder blades. Long neck. Facial expression relaxed. And we're going to start to extend the right leg down towards the end of the mat. Relax into that right hip flexor, right glute. Extend the left leg. And the feet might be a little bit further apart so that you can spread out the front part of the pelvis. So give in to all of this weight, again, across the central band. If you like, lift the arms up above the head. So the arms are wider than shoulder width and the legs are wider than hip width. Relaxing into the glutes, into the buttocks, into the pelvic floor. If this does become a little bit too much for you, just bring the feet back to your supported bridge, bending at the knees, soles of the feet on the floor. If you can stay for just a few more breaths, so we're almost at the end of that 2-minute hold. So breathe in, long, slow, deep breath out to let go just a little bit more in that release. Again, feeling where the sensations are, what's going on. Bring the arms back by the hips. Bring the right foot back and place that down. Bring the left foot back and place that down. And again, just find your supported bridge pose. Press into the hands, press into the feet, lift the hips, take your prop away, block or bolster, and roll down through the shoulders. Once more, we repeat the same thing, super, super slow. Roll down through each and every vertebra, not missing any parts out. We're scooping out the belly, drawing in the lower navel, rounding out through the lower lumbar, and then each and every vertebra comes down of your middle back, your lower back, and eventually the sacrum and the tailbone, and the pelvis widens and flattens out. Relax everything and roll over to the other side. It doesn't matter if you're facing away from the screen, it's okay. Just roll over to the other side. So we're going to roll on our side. Take a pause there. Dropping all of that weight down into the underneath hip this time on the opposite side. Taking a breath in, press through the hand, and gradually come up to seated. Extend the legs out in front of you. Sit tall. So move the flesh away from the sit bones. You can widen the sit bones apart underneath the pelvis if you wish to. You can sit on your bolster. You can sit on a block. We are going into a caterpillar pose. But just go easy here. So taking the forward fold, because we've just come out of a passive back bend. So be aware of how the spine starts to fold forward. And again, here, this flatness of the lower back and the sacrum. So relax the head. You might want to support the head with blocks or a bolster. Coming into this caterpillar, you can bend the knees. So if you can try to extend the legs a little bit more and then have a soft bend here rather than be all the way up here. You might widen the feet just a little bit. And as we gently draw the navel in towards the spine, so drawing navel in, it's not a tight constriction of the abdominal muscles, it's a simple draw in. And notice how that feels into the lower back. So relax the belly, and I'm probably going to say that the back relaxes as well. Now draw the navel back towards the spine and notice how that changes the posture for you. So it's really about subtle movements to find, again, the path of least resistance. We always want the nice, easy option, but sometimes the easy option doesn't give us learnings, doesn't teach us anything, certainly about ourselves. So sometimes the challenge needs to be met in order for growth. Simply observe as you hold this pose. What are our three principles of yin? Holding, finding stillness, working towards an edge. What can you feel here? What are the sensations that are coming up for you? Do you feel that each breath out releases you just a little bit more? And almost visualize again this chi flowing freely around the body. Kidneys and the bladder meridian, we're targeting those because they are connected to the water element significantly. Take a deep breath in. Slow, long, deep, releasing, relaxing breath out. Bring the hands back closer towards the hips. Use the hands as support as you slowly uncurl the spine, each and every vertebra. As you unroll, you come back up to seated, sitting nice and tall through the spine, grounding through the sit bones. And then gently bend the knees, take the feet wide. And if you need to, bring the hands back behind you, but you can rest the hands on the knees and just drop them over, windscreen wiper, right and left. And do that 3 times, right and left. And then bring yourself back into the center. Place the soles of the feet into butterfly. Just gently give the knees a little press out. So here you'll release into the hips, the inner thighs, and the lower back. You might just press the chest gently forward. It's just a 1-minute hold. It's a long, straight spine rather than a rounded spine. So again, drawing navel in, chest is open to the heels. So spread the shoulder blades apart. And those elbows are gently pressing on the knees, nothing forced, gently pressing. Keeping the spine long, all the way from shoulders to hips. And then bring yourself back upright. And if you can, if you're able to, keeping your butterfly legs, start to roll down through the spine. Now that's going to be an interesting one because your hip flexors are going to have to kick in and the knees tend to lift up, so it's nothing unusual. But when you come back down, come into your butterfly reclined pose. So soles of the feet come together, realign everything as you need to. Use blocks if you wish to underneath the knees, and the hands can come onto the hip flexors, or they might come onto the belly. They might return back into our yoni mudra. They might come out to the sides of the body or above the head. I'll give you the option wherever the hands feel the most comfortable. I'm returning to our yoni mudra. So with a reclined butterfly, the knees just gently release out to the sides. The hip flexors stay completely soft and relaxed. They're not engaging and gripping and tightening, which basically means that the back will naturally arch here away from the floor. So if you took your yoni mudra once more, draw into that little triangular shape, placed just beneath the navel, lower dantian, pointing down towards the pubic bone, and that energy drives down through the body and into the sacrum and down into the earth. Take a deep breath in, release the hands to the thighs. Deep breath out, and then bring the knees in towards the center. Take a moment to find constructive rest, toes pigeon-toed, and knees drop in towards one another. Heel toe, feet back into parallel, and this one is our waterfall pose. So we just draw our knees close in towards our body, and then from there we extend from the back of the knee and take the legs up towards the sky. So if you've really got tight hamstrings, soften into the back of the knees, drop the knees a little bit closer towards the chest so that you can keep your feet up in the air and your heels are in line and stacked above your hips. That's it, lovely. So if you need to hold the back of the knees, back of the thighs, of course, do so. Maybe the legs go straight. But if they are going straight, don't take them away from the body. So we want the heels directly above the hips. So as you let those legs become heavy, the head of the femur drops down in towards the hip socket. Pelvis spreads out underneath you. The sacrum takes a lot of the pressure here, spreading out the back. Feeling those legs are now light and they are just floating. And from here, bring the right knee in towards the chest. Extend the left leg all the way along the mat. Squeeze the right knee in. Relax into the sacrum. Change legs. Draw the left knee in. Extend the right. And relax into that central band. And then draw your right knee in to meet your left. Give yourself a squeeze and a last and final massage through the sacrum, through the pelvis, through the waists, the lower back, the middle back, the upper back and shoulders, circling one way and the other. Let's prepare to come into our final relaxation. And what I would say is if you have cushions, pillows or bolster, put those underneath the knees. So that actually takes a little bit of the pressure away from the back arching when the legs are long. Or if you haven't got a bolster handy, you can, of course, use your blocks to support the knees, but just making sure that none of the corners are digging in. Making yourself warm, comfortable, eye pillows, blankets, whatever you need. Arms gently out to the side of you, about 45 degrees away from the hips. Soften into the feet, the ankles, the legs. And take all the space that you have around you. Beneath the earthiness of the skin and bones lies the cohesive fluid body, composed of blood, plasma, cerebral, spinal fluid, synovial fluid, cellular fluid, and interstitial fluid. It makes up around 70% of our composition. This watery body hydrates and nourishes us, dissolving and carrying nutrients to our cells and flushing out unwanted byproducts. It protects the pathways in which it flows: brain, mouth, throat, stomach, joints, and all of the organs. And this saline conduit of life runs through the tributaries or the meridians of our body. As the waters flow, they touch nearly every organ and every cell, communicating with and connecting our internal pathways. It is said our fluid body has a similar constitution to the sea. And in our mother's womb, we were quite literally floating in this sea of life. So for now, just feel like you are floating on that sea, a nice calm sea where you are held and supported, and just floating in that salt water. I'll let you know when it's time to come back around. For now, enjoy your relaxation. Begin to take a few deeper breaths as you bring your awareness back into your surroundings. Back onto the mat and back into the body by wiggling fingers, wiggling toes. Moving into the wrists, moving into the ankles. And remember, all of that fluid that we just spoke about is constantly shifting and moving around the body for you. So all of the systems of the body are still working, even though you are resting or lying in a posture or holding a posture. Everything is still functioning. So take your time to stretch, drawing knees in, rolling and massaging out. And when you're ready, making your way back up to a comfortable seat and bringing the hands into Anjali Mudra at heart center. Sitting nice and tall, allowing the shoulders to rest away from the ears, softening through the facial expression, and just taking a moisten of the mouth. So maybe introducing a little bit of saliva and swallowing, clearing the palate, moistening the lips, and draw back into any intention that you needed for your practice to take you through Yin Yoga for the water element today, and how you can take any of that off of the mat into your daily life. Remember, water always chooses the path of least resistance, and it can be ferocious, it can be dynamic, it can be calm or meandering, but all the while it goes with the flow. Always thank yourself, your body, your breath for your practice, and I thank you. Namaste.